When I was a boy, each week, Sundays we'd go to church, pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word, consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I went to Sunday school, we would learn about the time that Moses split the sea in two and Jesus made the water wine. I remember feeling sad. Miracles don't happen still. Nowadays I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine to water is not so small, but an even greater magic trick isn't anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but to look for where there isn't one. There was a miracle. When holy water was rare at best, I barely wet my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-downs. Now I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. See a questioning child's face, say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. On a night I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. Made me want to bow my head, remembering when church let out. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-downs. Now I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Seibert, your last-minute worship leader for this morning's service, and this is Common Ground, our celebration of worship for people of many paths who gather to share in the responsible search for meaning and truth. This is a warm and open community where all who come with open minds and kind hearts are welcome, regardless of age, ability, race, gender identity, or sexual orientation. We hope all who join us today find this a safe place to worship. Now please greet the people around you. You'll have a moment to greet everyone after during our coffee hour. When you hear the bell, please remain standing for a moment of silence, followed by our gathering song. book. Please pause for a moment of silence. Now let's join Steve Brooks and the Come As You Are Choir in their gathering song, Come Sing a Song With Me. This is the fire of our faith. Join me in reciting these words by George Kimish Beach as today's speaker, Steve Brooks, lights our chalice flame. For the wonder and inspiration we seek from stars and sun and all the lights of the heavens, we light this chalice. I invite you to join me in a renewal of our sacred promises. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to the serve human need, to them shall grow in harmony with the divine, thus to be covenant with each other. Please be seated, and as you're seated, please move toward the walls to make it easier for people arriving to find seats. Also know you may enjoy the service remotely upstairs on the loft on large screen TV. In religious education today, the children will continue working on the November theme, What Does It Mean to Be a People of Attention? They will work on the skill and practice on how we pay attention to what other people need. The session goal will be to understand that each of us can pay attention to how we can help others. Next week, the children will listen to the story Moody Cow, about a cow who is having a bad day until he learns to settle his mind and let go of his frustrations. The craft of the day is making a mindfulness jar. The goal will be to learn about meditation and mindfulness as a way to pay attention. Today, the youth will prepare for the performance of their skit, Startle. Next week, they will perform the play for us. Now, in place of our story for all ages, we have a special musical treat. Steve?
Yes, we are going to have a song for all ages. And I really do mean all ages, because I invite everyone to join in on the chorus. If somehow you have never heard the song before or learned the chorus, I think you'll pick it up very quickly. It's a song about believing in magic and what happens when we lose our belief in magic. Frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Little Jackie Paper loved that rascal Puff and brought him strings and sealing wax and other fancy stuff. Together they would travel on a boat with billowed sails. Jackie kept a lookout perched on Puff's gigantic tail. Noble kings and princes would bow whene'er they came. Pirate ships would lower their flags when Puff roared out his name. Oh, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. The dragon lives forever, not so little boys. Painted wings and giant strings make way for other toys. One gray night it happened, Jackie Paper came no more. And Puff, that mighty dragon, he ceased his fearless roar. Oh, Puff, the magic dragon, lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff, magic dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the mist in a land called Honolulu. His head was bent in sorrow, green scales fell like rain. Puff no longer went to play along the cherry lane. Without his lifelong friend, Puff could not be brave. And Puff, that mighty dragon, sadly slipped into his cave. Oh, Puff, the magic dragon, lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff, the magic dragon, lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu.
this time children are invited to take part in religious education, let us send them out with these words. We pass this flame of religious freedom from generation to generation. Our call to worship today is A Universe of Possibilities by Jill Tarter. We live on a fragile island of life in a universe of possibilities. For many millennia, humans have been on a journey to find answers to questions about naturalism and transcendence, about who we are and why we are, and of course, who else might be out there. Is it really just us? Are we alone in this vast universe of energy and matter and chemistry and physics? Well, if we are, it's an awful waste of space. But what if we're not? What if, out there, others are asking and answering similar questions? What if they look up at the night sky, at the same stars, but from the opposite side? Would the discovery of an older cultural civilization out there inspire us to find ways to survive our increasingly uncertain technological adolescence? Might it be the discovery of a distant civilization and our common cosmic origins that finally drives home the message of the bond among all humans? Whether we're born in San Francisco or Sudan or close to the heart of the Milky Way galaxy, we are the products of a billion-year lineage of wandering stardust. We, all of us, are what happens when a primordial mixture of hydrogen and helium evolves for so long that it begins to ask where it came from. Now, once again, please stand in body or spirit and join Steve and the Come As You Are choir in our worship song, Wake Now, My Senses.
Wake now, my senses, and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now, my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward
speaker this morning is Steve Brooks. May we sit down? Oh, I think so. Sure. Have a seat, please. We're a liberal congregation. Our speaker this morning is Steve Brooks, a longtime member and former board member of Austin's Wildflower Church. Speaker and singer-songwriter Steve Brooks has performed at more than 35 UU churches around Texas and beyond. His services are a blend of sermon and song, aiming to inspire, entertain, and educate on topics ranging from music to miracles and being a born-again pagan. Musically, he's known for writing a song a week for Jim Howard, Russell Crowe, and more. On top of his solo career, he recently joined the legendary 60s folk trio, the Limelighters. He's had music in 2 films and appeared in 2 more, including the 2004 release, Barbecue, A Texas Love Story. A master of words as well as music, he was featured on TV's I've Got a Secret as 6-time world pun champion. Now welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Kim. I used to go walking at midnight. Some things appear clearest through eyes that are blinded by daylight. I'd look to the sky and I'd search for a sign that would show me the road to be taken. A single new star rearranged a whole constellation. Now I am a sailor with ocean on every side of me, and the stars look so vast, they're frightening, and yet they are lovely. There's times that I thought I would drown in this darkness, no map and no compass to guide me. But there's no night that's as dark as the one that's inside me. We search for a path, where a path makes the wilderness safer. Follow our maps, but our maps are just made out of paper. It's only our minds that keep drawing these lines, and it's only our hearts can erase them, and a single new star rearranges a whole constellation. Our watches we set by the sun, but our hearts run on moon time. And we wait till some miracle comes, turning night into noontime. But the only true miracles I've ever seen are those sudden and silent occasions when a single new star rearranges a whole constellation. Now I'm not a young man, but still that whole midnight keeps calling. I still follow a star even when all my stars are falling, till the stars fade from view and the whole world seems new in the light of a morning that's breaking, when a single new star rearranges a whole constellation. A single new star rearranges a whole constellation. A single new star. Thank you. We have 3 short readings here. First one comes from the great psychologist Carl Jung in an essay called On Synchronicity. On April 1st, 1949, I made a note in the morning of an inscription containing a figure that was half man and half fish. Somebody mentioned the custom of making an April fish of someone. In the afternoon, a former patient of mine, whom I had not seen for months, showed me some impressive pictures of fish. In the evening, I was shown a piece of embroidery with sea monsters and fishes in it. The next morning, I saw a former patient who was visiting me for the first time in 10 years. She had dreamed of a large fish the night before. When coincidences pile up in this way, one cannot help being impressed by them. Our second reading comes from the anthropologist Joseph Chilton Pearce and the book The Crack in the Cosmic Egg. It has been claimed that our minds screen out far more than we accept, else we would live in a world of chaos. Our screening process may be essential, but it is arbitrary, changeable, magnify, illuminate, or dampen, expand upon or obscure, affirm or deny as our inheritance, adopted discipline, or passionate pursuit dictate. Our final reading comes from the Gnostic Gospel known as the Gospel of Thomas. If your leaders say to you, "Look, the kingdom of heaven is in the sky," then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, "It is in the sea," then the fish will precede you. Rather, the kingdom of heaven is inside you and outside you. His disciples said to him, "When will the kingdom of heaven come?" "It will not come by watching for it. It will not be said, 'Look here,' or 'Look there.' Rather, the kingdom of heaven is spread out upon the earth, and people don't see it." On May 21st, 2011, a miracle did not happen. Or maybe it did. The miracle in question is known as the rapture. It is a curious bit of religious doctrine. It is not mentioned in any of the recorded words of Jesus. Instead, it is based on a single passage from St. Paul. At the second coming of Christ, he forecasts, true believers will be lifted off the ground to meet Jesus as he descends from heaven. St. Paul writes, "We who are alive, who are left, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air." Over 2 millennia, the prophecy of the rapture has had its ups and downs. Various believers have predicted that it would be fulfilled in 1844, 1914, 1918, 1925, 1942, 1981, 1988, 1992, 1993, and 1994. Come 2011, a California radio preacher named Harold Camping calculated that the rapture would occur on May 21st. Up to 200 million of the faithful will be teleported towards the stratosphere. The rest of us would stick around to endure 5 months of tribulation, time to coincide with summertime in Texas. As the date approached, thousands of the faithful disposed of their worldly goods, while humorists were having a field day. One website offered, for a small fee, to watch your pets after you're gone. Said the mayor of New York, if the world does end tomorrow, it would fix our traffic problems. In the end, May 21st came and went without apparent incident. Reverend Camping rescheduled the rapture to October 21st, when, once again, it did not happen. Comedians moved on to other subjects. Skeptics were convinced that, once again, a miracle had not occurred. And yet, a rapture actually did occur on May 21st. It occurred in plain sight and much as St. Paul had predicted. 3 million people were lifted off their feet and into the clouds. None of them met Jesus, but they did meet stewards and stewardesses who offered them water and wine. Now, to you and me, commercial aviation might not sound like a miracle. The only miracle is reaching our destinations at the same time as our baggage. But someone born in the 1st century AD, the very notion of a machine that could raise people up into the sky, held up by invisible forces, would qualify as a miracle of the highest order. So I put to you the question, did a miracle happen on May 21st, 2011, or not? The answer depends on your point of view. One person's miracle is another person's myth, and on occasion, another person's annoyance. A miracle, it appears, is in the eye of the beholder, and the beholder is often looking in the wrong direction. I'm bringing up the rapture to suggest that the subject of miracles is not as simple as it seems. It is often framed in the same terms as the subject of God, or as we sometimes say in Unitarian churches, the G word, as if it were a simple yes or no question. Do you believe or don't you? When asked about God, my answer has always been, which one? And as for miracles, I ask of miracles. You might have a different question. Why talk about miracles at all, especially in a Unitarian Universalist church? Miracle is not an easy concept to wrap our rational minds around. Our reflex is to view it as superstition, a bygone relic of the faiths that we cast off when we put away childish things. And yet, miracle already has a place in our faith. The original Latin word, miraculum, carries no hocus pocus. It means simply object of wonder. And in our 7 sources, we describe it as the direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of the Spirit. For many of us, once we have experienced that sort of transcending mystery and wonder, it is hard to be satisfied with pure rationalism. In the words of our spiritual forebear, good old Ralph Waldo Emerson, the invariable mark of wisdom is to see the miraculous in the common. I was raised with a strictly scientific worldview, in which my dad put miracles on the same level as the tooth fairy. Being an avid amateur astronomer, he couldn't look through his telescope without feeling that there was some kind of intelligence that was organizing that vast starry array. But that intelligence would not stoop to dabble in human affairs any more than we would dabble in the affairs of an amoeba. My dad's worldview had the virtue of being self-contained and consistent. In that way, it was a lot like a fundamentalist religion. As I grew older, though, I found that for me, it wasn't enough. On an emotional level, there was a hole in my heart that longed for some kind of connection with a higher power. I felt that divine connection keenly when I was out hiking on a mountain trail or singing a favorite song. To me, they were objects of wonder. Nor did my dad's worldview work completely even on the material plane. All my life, I run into certain experiences that evoke a different kind of wonder. You might say they make me wonder. I like to call them minor miracles. Many of you probably have them too. None of them rises to the level of walking on water or raising the dead. It's more like this. I think of an old friend who I haven't spoken to in years. And within a couple of days, I get a phone call from them. A couple of minor miracles happened as I began researching this sermon. One Sunday, I stopped by a used bookstore to look for the book, A Course in Miracles. The next day, at lunch, a friend told me a moving story about reuniting with a sister from whom she had been estranged for 20 years. As soon as I got home, I got a call that tied these two events together. It was from my adopted sister, Mary Beth, with whom I hadn't spoken in 6 months. Mary Beth, it turned out, was about to give a sermon based on A Course in Miracles. Of course, a strict rationalist can dismiss such connections as mere coincidence. The mathematician J.E. Littlewood defined a miracle as a 1 in a million event. He calculated that if we have one experience per second, then we should see a miracle once every 35 days. But I'm not the only one who feels that there must be a little more at work than pure chance. The psychologist Carl Jung gave the phenomenon the grandly Greek-sounding name synchronicity. He defined it in a variety of ways, like a meaningful coincidence of two or more events, or improbable accidents of an acausal nature. Jung was stumped, however, on the question of what synchronicities could possibly mean. He related them to everything from déjà vu and clairvoyance to quantum mechanics. But in the end, he confessed, no one has yet succeeded in constructing a causal bridge between the elements making up a meaningful coincidence. But on another level, I find synchronicities oddly reassuring. To me, they're suggestions that, in the words of Hamlet, there are still more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in our philosophies. My spiritual life feels incomplete without some sense of the miraculous. But what do I mean by the miraculous? Which sorts of miracles do I believe in? More broadly, is there a concept of miracles that would make sense to the average Unitarian, apart from the fact that it would be a miracle to find an average Unitarian? Before I proceed, I'd like to ask, what sorts of miracles do you believe in? Please raise your hand if you believe the following qualifies as a miracle. Synchronicity, faith healing, space travel, birth, falling in love. And finally, forgiveness. We have a lot of believers in here. Puppies. Well, let's not push it. I ask you to keep your answers in mind and to keep an open mind as I explore 3 possible concepts of miracles. Let's start with the standard one. Merriam-Webster defines a miracle as an extraordinary event manifesting divine intervention in human affairs. That's just one sentence, but it packs in a load of theology. First, it tells us that a miracle is an unusual event, but not just any kind of unusual event. It's one in which God gets involved. In ordinary situations, God is content to sit back and let the world run itself. But once in a while, we are told he decides to roll up his sleeves and stick his hands under the hood. God, it appears, listens to car talk. God makes the rules so God can break them. Why would God be breaking his own rules? Well, the standard story is that he is showing off. By giving signs, he is manifesting to unbelievers that he is a deity to be reckoned with. As you might imagine, I have problems with this traditional definition. For one thing, it's a throwback to the most primitive form of religion, in which God is easily annoyed. Make your rituals and sacrifices, and he makes the rain fall. But fall behind, and you get a drought or a flood. In today's language, we'd call this a quid pro quo. This prehistoric idea persists into the 21st century, as when former Governor Rick Perry asked Texans to spend 3 days praying for rain and was rewarded with 6 more months of drought. Another problem with the standard definition is that it only works as long as my God is the most powerful magician. If you can show me that your God is stronger, generally by whipping my butt in battle, I will abandon my God and I will start worshiping yours. So a faith that is based solely on signs is a fair weather faith. At the dawn of the scientific age, the Dutch philosopher Spinoza proposed a more rational definition of miracles. He argued that God cannot break his own rules. Instead, events that appear supernatural are really the results of natural laws that we don't yet understand. As the Russian mystic Gurdjieff put it, a miracle is the manifestation in this world of the laws of another world. To me, there's an appealing bridge between ancient mysticism and modern science. For our ancestors, the world was alive with unseen spirits, which dwelt on another level of being, but operated on this one. Over the past few centuries, scientists have essentially proved them right. They've exposed the invisible forces that make us sick, hold us to the surface of the earth, and lift airplanes off the ground, thus fulfilling a 2,000-year-old prophecy. If these phenomena no longer seem miraculous, there are still plenty of hidden forces to go around, from the causes of many diseases to the dark matter that is said to hold the universe together. For myself, I would add my nagging experiences of telepathy, precognition, and synchronicity. Pure rationalists insist that because we can't measure them in a lab, they don't exist. But the same was once true of electricity and radioactivity. Medicine is already learning how deeply our minds affect one kind of matter, our own bodies. Clinical research is documenting how meditation, visualization, relaxation, and psychotherapy can improve everything from blood pressure and cholesterol to survival rates from breast cancer. just as we worry ourselves sick, we can sometimes think ourselves well. Which brings me to a third definition of a miracle: a change in perception. This definition comes from the New Age classic, A Course in Miracles. The Course is an illusion created by our minds. If you can change your mind, you can change the world. At first glance, this definition sounds irrational as can be. But it fits comfortably into the findings of neurobiology. My brain filters out most of the information that's coming in through my senses. At subconscious levels, it lets in data that fit my existing picture of the world. Rest. We've all had the experience of overlooking an object that is right there in front of our faces, and then having it bite us in another part of our anatomy. To a large extent, the reality I see is the reality I expect to see. That might explain why scientists have a hard time observing psychic phenomena, wrote the poet William Blake. The man who does not believe in miracles surely makes it certain that he will never take part in one. Psychologist Joseph Chilton Pearce, who studied conversion experiences, called our self-contained pictures of the world our cosmic eggs. Our cosmic egg, he wrote, is the sum total of our notions of what the world is, notions which define what reality can be for us. Our minds have hard shells, but periodically, life's potholes cause them to fracture. They allow our imaginations to leak out and light to leak in. Many a scientific revolution has come through a crack in someone's cosmic egg, from the apple falling on Newton's head to the dreams in which Einstein envisioned new ideas of space and time. Wrote Pearce, man's conceptual level changed, and the kind of universe with which he dealt proved to be different. Now, my personal cosmic egg is not just a set of beliefs about the physical world. It's also a set of beliefs about people and about right and wrong. Religions have their own cosmic eggs, and as we can see these days, so do political parties. For myself, the older I get, my shell becomes. I hold grudges. I believe from the bottom of my heart that other drivers are dangerous maniacs, and that in general, other people are wrong more often than I am. In the symbolic language of the Gospels, I am suffering from spiritual paralysis and spiritual blindness. I am in need of miracles. More fruitful than physical miracles, then, might be spiritual miracles. It's a miracle on those occasions when my higher self breaks through into my lower self and I live up to my highest ideals. Once in a while, I find that I sincerely love my enemies and forgive my friends. I stop casting stones at other people, and I recognize the beam in my own eye. I change my worldview, and I end up changing my world. Sometimes what changes is just my humble perception of my daily life. Instead of seeking the divine in extraordinary events, I have moments when everything is holy now. It might happen when I'm walking my dog down a neighborhood street, or I'm strumming a rich chord on my guitar, or I'm outside sipping a mint julep at sundown. In such rare and pregnant moments, when I actually glimpse the world in a grain of sand and eternity in an hour, I grasp the words of Jesus. The kingdom of heaven is spread out upon the earth, and people don't see it. I reflect on the words of the Buddha. If we could see the miracle of a single flower clearly, then our whole life would change. What then might a Unitarian miracle look like? I submit that it might include elements of all three definitions: of the divine, however we define it, of the laws of nature, and of our human perception. It would leave room for both the truths of science and the operations of unseen higher powers. Most important, a Unitarian miracle would take account of the interdependent web of existence. A miracle reminds me that that web is full of imperceptible connections. I can only see a few of them at any given time. But when I change my consciousness, I start to see a few more connections. And often they are objects of wonder. Instead of grumbling about airport security, I might relive the words of St. Paul in my own life. As my flight clears the runway, I might marvel at Bernoulli's principle, the miraculous relationship between air speed and air pressure that is pulling me aloft. As I gaze down at the city receding beneath me and at the sun glinting off the wing, I might look ahead to the moment when I'll be soaring above the birds, caught up in the clouds to meet the divine in the middle of the air. And thank you. And now it's time for our offering.
Thank you, Steve. As we have received, so we are asked to give. Please use the offering envelopes provided. Green envelopes are for pledges or gifts to Pathways. Gold envelopes are for donations to our outreach partner. Our outreach partner for October, November, and December is Meals on Wheels of Tarrant County. This 501c3 not-for-profit charitable organization provides roughly 1 million meals each year to some of Tarrant County's most frail citizens. By providing home-delivered meals, professional case management, and other needed items and services to homebound, elderly, and disabled clients, they enable them to remain living independently in their own home. Meals are delivered by over 5,000 caring volunteers who freely give of their time and personal resources to ensure that clients receive a nutritious meal. Volunteers contact the Meals on Wheels office if a client does not answer the door. These daily safety checks provide an added level of reassurance to the clients and their families. We will now receive the offering.
And here's the last song while we're passing the basket. The birds, they sing at the break of day. Start again, I've heard them say. Don't dwell on what has passed away or what has yet to be. For the wars, they will be fought again. The holy dove he caught and bought and sold and bought again. The dove is never free. Now the bells still and ring. Oh God, your perfect offering. There is in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. We asked for signs, and the signs were sent. The birth betrayed, the marriage spent. The widowhood of every government, signs for all to see. And run no more with that lawless crowd, where killers in high places say their prayers out loud, but they've summoned up a thundercloud, and they're gonna hear from me. Now the bells still the song. You can strike up a march, but there is no drum. And every heart to love will come, but like a refugee. And now the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. Thank you.
Thank you for your generous gifts, kindly and freely given this morning and by mail throughout the month to support this congregation and our outreach efforts. Your offering is truly appreciated, and your effort too. This week we are highlighting our development committee, drawing on his career in nonprofit organizations and in fundraising. In the fall of 2018, Steve Braun proposed to the Board of Trustees the creation of an ad hoc committee, the Development Committee, which he now leads. Others serving on the team have included Sandy Moore, Cindy Shepard, and Tracy Anderton. The team has submitted 3 grant proposals, still pending, and expects to complete 2 more by November 15th. Pathways participated in North Texas Giving Day for the first time this fall at the suggestion of this team. North Texas Giving Day netted $4,487.98, thanks to the generous donations of Pathways members and friends. The Development Committee oversees the Outreach Partner Program at the request of the board. The team also coordinates 3 data sets for Pathways: annual membership, weekly attendance at Common Ground, and RE participation for the purpose of having consistent and available data for grant proposals. A pop-up sign-up for rewards programs such as Amazon Smile, WeGive, and grocery and other merchants is in the works. If you would be interested in assisting Steve and the team, please contact him directly. Wave at everybody. There you go. In addition, we'd like to give a big thank you to all the volunteers who worked so hard to make last night's coffee house a big success. Thank you. I know Stan wanted to say a few words.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure that some of our newer members are really acquainted with NEED, the Northeast Emergency Distribution Network that we have worked with for years.
Stan, you should use the mic because they can't hear you upstairs.
Will that one work?
Oh, okay.
If it's on.
I'll start over. Is it on?
It sounds like. You're good. It's already on.
It's on? Okay, good. Again, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with NEED. It's an organization that we have tried to sponsor for a number of years. It basically collects food and toiletries and other supplies for people who see assistance. And that's what our little red wagon is about out in the lobby. But the main reason I wanted to talk to you right now is because of the strange way that that Thanksgiving and Christmas are falling this month. We are going to need to cover a shift in November and December. And I know a lot of people are going to be traveling, and also this is a Friday commitment, and many of you work. But still, I'm really kind of short of volunteers for November the 22nd and December, I think, the 27th. And I would hate to fail them by not having enough people to cover the helping to distribute the supplies that they need. So if you have it in your heart to practice what we preach every day when we say to serve other people, to serve others, please get in touch with me. I'd love to have more volunteers than I currently have. And that's all.
Thank you, Stan. We hope that each of you on your individual path to the joys and questions of life found some common ground with your fellow travelers at Pathways here today. As Steve extinguishes our chalice flame, let us join in these words. I will share the words with you. As flame is to spirit, so spirit is to breath, and breath is to song. Though we extinguish the flame in the sanctuary, it may be tended in our hearts until we meet again. To all of our first-time visitors, if you'd like to learn more about Pathways, stay around after worship and talk with us. We'd love to meet you. Be sure to share your contact information with us at our welcome table in the foyer. If you'd like, sign up on our website for our weekly e-newsletter to be informed of events coming up at Pathways. There are meetings and events here at Pathways throughout the week. Here's a few, along with other announcements. For a full lineup, see the Pathways Weekly or the events calendar on our website, pathwaysuu.org. Also, take home the order of service sheet on your chairs because it has dates of upcoming events on the announcements. The next meeting on the Mystic Path will be this coming Thursday, November 14th from 7 to 8:30 here at Pathways. Did you know that research shows that gratitude helps you make friends, improves your physical and physiological health, enhances empathy, reduces aggression, and improves your sleep? At Mystic Path's next meeting on November 14th, we'll get into the spirit of Thanksgiving 2 weeks early by doing some fun gratitude activities. Newcomers are welcome. For the month of November, the Pathways Women's Book Club is reading and discussing Educated by Tara Westover, a memoir of the author's years growing up in a fundamentalist Mormon family in Idaho. The book group meets the first and third Thursdays of each month at 1 p.m. at Pathways. Newcomers are always welcome. The next circle dinner is on Saturday, December 14th. Put it on your calendar. We're always hungry for food, good food, and stimulating conversation. Pathways, camaraderie, and great fun. Sign up in the church lobby as a host or a guest. Thanksgiving offers us all an opportunity for reflection about gratitude, sharing and being together in community. Please consider sharing your home this Thanksgiving Day with guests from our Pathways family. A sign-up sheet is available in the Pathways foyer for hosts to sign up with an indication of how many guests you can accommodate. A sign-up sheet for guests is also available. Cub Scout Pack 1013 is nearing its second anniversary, and the Scouts are getting older. As they get older, there'll be a need for troops to provide the older age program, Scouts BSA. Scouts BSA, formerly Boy Scouts, is the program for 11 to 17-year-old boys and girls. As we explore how we can start a boy troop and a girl troop, we would like to know if we have 11 to 17-year-old boys and girls in the Pathways family who are interested in joining the scouting program. A survey was shared on the Pathways Facebook group. Please complete the survey if you have 11 to 17-year-old boys or girls who might be interested in scouting. The Resistance Revival Chorus is now forming. This is a pop-up group of women in white intent on making an impact at vigils, demonstrations, protests, and anywhere that a voice for justice and humanity should be heard. Rehearsals are every Sunday, 2 to 3 p.m. at Pathways. Like and follow the group on Facebook, Resistance Revival Chorus Fort Worth. Milestones is a time to share our news with our Pathways family. We heard about this last week, but we're repeating it to make sure everyone got the message. Marissa Broom will be performing her senior violin recital tomorrow, November 11th, at 5:30 at the UTA Music Building, Irons Recital Hall. And you and we are all invited. Driving instructions to Marissa's recital, what to input in Google Maps, UTA West Campus Parking Garage, corner of Netterman Drive and UTA Boulevard. After parking, you have to walk down Netterman past the gym, turn left on Greek Row, walk past. If you have questions, ask Marissa. After we break for coffee and conversation, we'll continue with our adult discussion groups. TED Talks meets here in the sanctuary. Recent scientific developments have made possible things once attributed only to gods and mythologies. Artist and TED fellow Hiromi Ozaki shows how she worked with scientists in biotechnology and genetic engineering to turn one myth, the red string of fate, into a reality. Sounds like a miracle. On My Path, we'll meet upstairs in the loft. This is a group for adults to celebrate and deepen their individual spiritual journey. It's open to all seekers from any path and is a safe place to speak your truth in a circle of trust. Visitors and newcomers are welcome and encouraged to attend either of these adult discussion groups. Parents, please pick up your children from the nursery and RE immediately after Common Ground so that all ages can share in fellowship and food. The nursery will reopen at 11:30 for adult discussion groups. And now, please stand, as you are willing and able, to join Steve Brooks and the choir in singing our closing hymn, O Come, You Longing, Thirsty Souls.
As we leave this holy place, let us remind ourselves that the kingdom of heaven, the land of enlightenment, is not in a far-away place beyond the sunset. As the sage remarked, it is all around us. In those moments when the scales are lifted from our eyes, may we come face to face with the divine in the day-to-day. May we glimpse our place in the interdependent web of existence, in the ongoing miracle.
Our closing words today are by Mary Edis. Like the cosmic dust following after a great Perseid meteor, we're the living remnants of time and all that has come to pass in the wake. Blessed be. Go in peace.